changing the names of these tournaments.
Next week is worse too.
What's next week?
I don't even know what it is. It's
all right. Perfect way to start the show. We don't know what next week is. We're worried about the Worldwide Technology Championship at Mayakoba. Okay, sure. We know Mayakoba. You guys know us. We're here. Stokastic DFS PGA strategy show presented by Prize Picks. I am Ben Rasa. That is Geoff Ulrich. We are ready and set to break this down in full. We're going to talk about the players. We're talk about the tournament. Talk about anything else you guys want to in chat. Sir, I was telling you before the show, you must be busy because every single team in the universe plays hockey tonight. We got a lot going on in the sports world.
Yeah, we do. And look, hey, if you're into NHL betting like I am, I mean, there's some good shot on goal prop betting tools over on Stokastic. So plug for the site right there. But I mean, I use them. They're useful. And I mean, NHL betting it's fun. You know,
I bet NHL.
There's not a bunch of, people going around pushing lines and stuff. So anyways, yeah, good night. Give credit to Ben because he always gives credit to me. He had a big week betting, hit Seamus Power, told us to bet him at 25-1. He was too big. Look, when you get to those Wakefield events and there's a guy, the one guy in the top 50 of the world golf rankings wasn't even the top, he didn't even have the shortest odds. So sometimes it's just the easiest path to, success. So
that's what did it. I did not think that Seamus Power was going to win the event. I thought that 25-1 on him in that field was just too much. And if he could fix the irons randomly, and he did, and that was great. It was needed. Do we have Shot Tracker this week? That's a great question.
Yeah. I want to say yes, we do.
I think we do, but don't quote me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly, someone in chat smarter than us will come up and tell us, but I believe there is for this one. I think there is. Yeah.
We didn't have it last week. I can promise you that tournament, notwithstanding some of the good things like Patrick Rogers up there, Detry played great. And certainly Seamus took it down. It's hard to know exactly what the hell was going on. Bermuda's Bermuda. It was a weird tournament. There was a guy who shot like 35 over. Not that that's relevant. Just wanted to get that in there. What were your takeaways, if any?
Yeah, it's like you said. I mean, really hard to take away too much from this event. The winds start to get up and like the ends of rounds, and it really just some players started to crater. Power and
Griffin
specifically, who again, like that was probably like my one takeaway is Ben Griffin. We have talked about him a little bit. He's an elite birdie maker, and he popped up on the Corn Ferry with some top events. I was kind of kicking myself not for, because obviously it was an event where we were trying to look down the board, take a couple shots with guys. And I was kind of kicking myself for not taking a shot with him. I still am because I think it was a good top 10 bet, whatever. But yeah, he definitely showed something that I think in these easier style courses, he's going to be able to pop up for us a bit. But, it just came a little too much there. The wind got up, the pressure got up, and he just missed a couple putts, and then it just all went crazy. So too bad for him.
Shout out to our chat. Last week someone threw out, and I don't even know his name. Yeah, Etchedariva. He was up there for a little bit.
I thought that was going to save my week for a bit. It was still just missed the top 20, so I didn't cash that. Would have been nice, but it was still a really solid DFS play. It was a great call by the chat. Yeah. That guy is similar skill set. I think, pretty good birdie maker from the looks of it. And I think these weaker style events, just a player to keep an eye on if he pops up again.
One last question. And this happens, but usually it happens more on like Thursday than I'm looking at the board. Who the hell is Brent Grant? He was winning the tournament like midway through Friday. Brent Grant. Never heard that name in my life.
Dude, I missed that one. At what point was he winning? I didn't even see it.
Certainly on Friday, Brent Grant was winning. He came in 35th, and I had been looking at the board, and I was just like, they just inserted this guy at the top. Like, they just literally put a name to see if anyone would notice. I
completely missed it because, I was watching this event. Like, I was keeping track of it. I barely watched any of it on TV, but I was watching it. He must have really he
started 66-67.
I don't even remember that.
So. All right. Well, there you go. Brent Grant. The answer to that maybe will be unveiled later in the show. We don't know who that is. We're going to turn the page to Mayakoba before we even dive into El Chameleon. Prize Picks. You see it on the screen. We'll match your first deposit up to $100 over at Prize Picks. They have been sponsoring this show. Different type of site. You're projecting over, under, totally different. Great opportunities over there. You can build parlays, mixed sports, a ton of fun. And in addition, the $100 deposit match bonus when you sign up, link in the description, you get 1 free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum. So even if you're saying, I want to play on the site, but I don't know where to get started, we have the tools for you, and we're going to give you a month to help you build those lineups. And Jeff, you've talked a ton about the different categories, fairways gained, birdies are better, the matchups. You can do 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. You get 10x if you go 5 for 5. A really cool format, and one that PGA I think works really well for.
Yeah, absolutely. And this week in particular, guys, like I know I brought up the fairways at the not the Palmetto, the
CJ Cup,
the CJ Cup at Congaree. And this week, you're going to see some really high green and regulation percentages. There's rain in the weather. There's not that much wind. There's a little bit of wind, but I think that you'll probably see guys hitting 14, 15 greens. So they don't have the lines up yet, but I would really look for that. If you're getting lines on some of the elite players at 12.5 or something, smash those overs, especially in round one. They'll probably adjust them, but obviously keep an eye on the wind. If it gets windy, just pretend that I didn't say that. But if it's not too windy, a little bit of rain, look for those green and reg props if they put them up.
Definitely check out all the content we have here and on the Odd Shopper YouTube if you like Prize Picks, if you want to learn more, and of course, take advantage, get those deposit bonuses. And we have seen this course. We know it. I call this, and maybe it's off base. I said this yesterday with Aton. I call this resort golf. Like, I think this is more on the easier side. They don't want to punish these guys. The course allows that. What do you think of when you see this? Obviously, Hovland seems to have something going here. Yeah.
So this event used to be in March, and the winds in Mexico in March were a lot worse, and the scoring here used to be worse. Because you get windier weeks, and they moved it to November exactly for the reason Ben said, because they want this to just be a cushy week where it's not too tough on the players. They want people to come down. They don't want this to be a grind fest, because they just think if it's like that every year, no one will come down. So it's an attractive, easy week for the players to prep for, and it's kind of low stress, and that's what this course is too. It's low stress. You're going to see high green and reg percentages. You're going to see not much scrambling that has to be done. Really, the only place you can get in trouble here is off the tee. And if you're not a disaster off the tee, you'll be fine. There's some hazards and stuff, and there's some bunkers, but it's not too bad. I mean, if you can club down on a lot of holes, there's 3 or 4 long par 4s as well. So, having a distance advantage is still an advantage, but accuracy kind of is more important. Even Hovland, he's been up there in driving distance, but he's been like top 20 in driving accuracy. So if you just stay steady off the tee, it's not that big a deal. You're just setting yourself up to attack these greens, because there's not much trouble you can get in on your second shots here. There's really not. As long as it's not windy, you're not going to have to scramble much either, which is why Hovland was won here twice in a row. Also got the pass Ballum in play. So never a bad thing to look at guys with good splits there. And by guys, I mean Emiliano Grillo, Ben.
That's right. He is the former OHL, as I still think of this tournament. That's his jam. I think the most important takeaway is what you said with Hovland. When you hear Hovland and it's like, oh, he's won twice, it's like, okay, you got to bomb it. No, it's not that at all. You need to be accurate. Oh, Hovland's a great driver of the ball because he has the double rare, like Rory. He drives it super long and he's accurate. But give me the super accurate guy that gains strokes, the old school Molinari formula over a guy's that spray. If you spray it here, you're actually in the jungle. Yeah. You're not getting out of it off the tee. It's not one of those courses. You have to keep it in play. If you do that, I don't think there's really any hazard that's going to cause a ton of problems. You can go in the water, of course, but again, that's more of an off the tee problem. So for me, we know what we want. You got to roll it. It's slow greens. It's past Palom. Winning score 15 to 20 under range.
I mean, it's been over 20 under in 4 of the past 5 years.
Yeah, that's
again, it is Mexico. It is seaside course. Like the wind can pick up here for a day or something and keep it under 20. That could happen. There's rain in the forecast, early forecast. There may even be stoppages, but it doesn't look like anything crazy. I mean, there's always a little bit of wind when you're on the sea. There's going to be a little bit of wind. So nothing crazy. I expect if this course does get wet and the winds don't get too bad, like you could definitely see 22, 23 under again.
It's going to get a little dangerous. So clearly going to have to score. And we've got some names. So that was my other takeaway. It's not last week. Scheffler is here. Hovland is here. Morikawa, Finau, Aaron Wise is over 10K, and Billy Ho is flat 10. Do you say, first of all, gut feel, do you think Hovland's going to be like crazy popular? And then how do you go down from the top?
Yeah. So, I mean, just obviously we'll give it right off the bat, Stokastic, we put out the ownership projections each week. It's really just makes any subscription you have really worthwhile on its own.
Correct.
Hovland's projecting as the top, as you'd expect. I think he'll be popular, but not crazy popular. We haven't seen him too much, but I know whenever you get a guy, an elite player who's won twice in a row, he's going to, even if he's got a little bit of form, he's going to be popular. I mean, actually he was T5 at the Zozo. So he'll clearly be the top owned play. I think that this is just a much more interesting week for fantasy. And it's, a lot of different ways you can kind of build lineups where, you can go off the Hovland chalk, and our projections really like Scotty Scheffler again. I like him too. He was fourth here last season. You look underneath Hovland, the options, Morikawa and Finau. I mean, those guys are going to be lower owned. I don't doubt it at all. But they definitely bring, like issues. I mean, Finau hasn't played at all. I'm very wary of trusting him just to pop up and all of a sudden win a birdie fest for that reason. Morikawa's game. I mean, Morikawa will pop up at some point, but and maybe the around the green, the lack of around the green work is definitely something to consider. I would certainly rather go with a pivot play to Morikawa than Finau, but I think that the play for me is probably just to pay up for Scheffler. I think most people will try to think about getting cute with Morikawa or Finau and saving money, where you can just pay up for the second best player in the world who's going to be mad because it's his first start after losing the number one player in the world. And, he is the best player in the field. So I think that's the move. I really do.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I kind of fall into, I'm not gonna say it's a trap because nothing's happened just yet, but I was drawn to kind of trying to save some of that money. We have not seen Finau. I think the course sets up fine for his game. Morikawa is the interesting one, because when I think about what you need to do, particularly off the tee, it's like, oh, you need to be Morikawa. It's perfect. His putter is always an issue. His putter has gone from bad to like unplayably bad in recent events. Like he lost 6 strokes putting at the CJ Cup. He lost 7 strokes to end the year on the Tour Championship. It seems like he's just taking himself out of tournaments with the putter right now. It's that concerning.
It is. And it's, again, like you're two camps. So you're not going to play Morikawa until you see something and you fix it, or you're going to try and get in front of this. And you think that Morikawa, when the switch goes, I mean, like it's going to be too late. So you keep playing them. I'm of the opinion you should keep playing them because like I look at putting. I mean, we have seen Morikawa go through massive slumps with this club before. I mean, before he even started winning on tour, he was terrible with the putter. But slower greens can help bad putters, just like they can help good putters too. But maybe the change in green surface here does something for him. I don't know. I'm obviously kind of grasping at straws, but I would probably rather go there than trusting Finau to necessarily get it done here. Finau probably has a better floor in a way. I mean, like I could definitely see him popping up with the top 20 or top 10, but I don't know. I'm going to stay drawn to the talent of Morikawa here. I think that, much like Hovland, like his around the green game is, it comes and goes. And I just think that this course, he's only going to have to really think about, he's going to put it in the fairway off the tee. So he's just got to think about his irons and his putter. And maybe this course just simplifies things for him. And this is the week where you can get going.
Aaron Wise and Billy Ho do round out this range. Talent-wise, I think it's pretty clear they're not to that level. But in a field like this, they do belong here. I mean, Aaron Wise, when we do see him, he looks great, and this should fit. Is that just too much to pay? Or do you say, you know what, he belongs here in this field?
I mean, Aaron Wise is up to his highest world golf ranking. I think it's 36 now. So obviously coming in off a nice week. He's second to Hovland here in 2020. really don't have anything bad to say about him. I mean, I certainly would lean Wise over Billy Horschel, pretty much just for life.
Correct.
But especially this week, they're both coming in with ownership. They're going to be popular. I mean, they're, you've got guys who haven't played, guys who are out of form, up above them, outside of Hovland, obviously. Hovland Wise pairing, probably going to be a very popular start to lineups. So if I'm playing Aaron Wise, which I think that you should, I mean, this is a very good player. I think is still a little bit underrated. I think there's still upside left for Wise. I think he could eventually be a top 20 player. I think if I was playing him, I would probably look to be going off Hovland. I just think those Hovland Wise pairings, you can go there. It's just like, if you do that, I would really look to be differentiating down the lineup. So I think that'll be the most popular move, either Hovland Wise or Hovland Horschel. And I think that going with Wise and like Scheffler, or maybe even just starting with Wise, could be a good way to differentiate. But yeah, I'm in on Wise. I mean, just like you. I mean, I think this player has potential we haven't seen yet. And I think this is a place where he's felt comfortable in the past. His only win came at a soft course too. He's been dialing up with the putter. I won't be shocked if he breaks through here.
Yeah, he's put the putting woes to rest in some regard. I do think I'll say in the betting markets, the pendulum, I'm not sure how much value is it. Like, he's shorter odds than Morikawa at books, which I think that's a little much, but we don't care about that on the DFS side. Like, you are what you are salary wise. Not betting him, I'll tell you that much.
I'm not either, unfortunately, which, I mean, I feel like this could be the week we miss out, but I just can't do it. I can't do it.
It's like 16-1 at some books. It's like, what are we doing here?
No, it's pretty tight.
Come on now. All right. Do you have any interest in omitting the top 6 and starting with Taylor Montgomery, Tom Hoge, Maverick, Seamus, like something like that, where it's a little against the grain, but you're giving up some win equity? Hoge,
I don't think so. I mean, I do like. What's that? I
think Tom Hoge is an interesting starting point. That's the one guy.
Actually, that is the one guy. You're right. I'm focusing in on like McNeely and Power. Although I don't know why I keep talking down Seamus Power after he wins twice. But it would definitely be Tom Hoge. I agreed. Like Montgomery, I still just don't know what this player long term is. I mean, he just keeps putting up top 15 finishes week after week. But for me, it would be Hoge as well. I will say this. This is what I was going to say. I actually really like 3 players. I like Day, Grillo, and Todd. I don't know if you want to start with all 3 of them, but I think that mixing Hoge in is probably smart if you're going to use 2 of those players. And I would definitely lean Day and Grillo. So maybe like a Hoge, Day, Grillo, it could be like a really interesting starting point. Those are definitely my 3 favorite players in this range. I do think this is a spot for potentially for it to happen for Grillo. I mean, there's nothing that, again, like this is just a simpler course. I think in a lot of ways he profiles like a Hovland where, where do we see him pop up? High green and red places where, the Deer lately, the Wyndham, just these easier courses where he's kind of gone low. And I think it just simplifies the game for him. His putter's been acting better. I know he had a bad outing his last time, but that was a weird course. Or just a tougher putting course too. We know his history on Paspalum is good. Almost won the CIMB in Malaysia a few years back. And then Hoagie's just striking it, man. Like he's fine. Day is the real wild card here, whether you want to get on or not. I think this is really interesting for Day with the way he's playing. What have we seen from him? His short game is giving him issues, but everything else, Ben, is there. He's fairways. He's driving it just as accurate as Hovland. The approach game. Is this like the veteran spot? Is he going to pull a Matt Kuchar here? I don't know, man. Like I'm in. I'm betting him this week. I am. I feel like I'm definitely getting rug pulled, but I think this could be. Maybe this is it. I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, I don't want to put it. It's not. I'm not gonna say like this is it in the sense that like if Jason Day comes in 48th, doesn't mean there's not other spots. Right. But could you ask for more? Like he seems healthy. He's gotten reps. His ball striking is through the roof right now. The putter is flipped again, and it's positive. It's a good course. We've seen older guys, with experience win this event all the time. it's hard to push back. And that's why I think the balance build is interesting. You already hit on it. You can play 3 guys in this micro range, all that I think are a reasonable combating, not having Scheffler, not having Finau, not having insert top end player. I like that. I think you mix and match. If I had to order them, it would be Hoagie 1, Griot 2, day 3. Then there's probably a drop. Like, I think Seamus is fine. It's not that he won. I just don't think this is as good of a course for him. And for me, like, it's hard to know what exactly happened last week. Like, I tend to just say, like, okay, I mean, personally, I cashed in. Like, I'm not going to push it. I like those guys on the other side a lot more in terms of the neighboring prices.
Yeah, and we've seen there has been a lot of players who've played the Bermuda Mexico double and done very well. Mm-hmm. Todd, obviously one of them. I would probably rather go to Brendan Todd, who's coming off really good performance. Like he gained like 7 strokes and I think it was the CJ Cup. He loves this course. I mean, this is just premier of Brendan Todd. He'll keep it in the fairway, keep it simple for himself. Obviously likes the greens. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm not going to rank him in front of. I mean, I probably rank him in front of McNeely just because I think McNeely is overrated. But I think that course wise, absolutely, you could mix in Todd, but he'd probably be like my 4th or 5th guy in this range.
I mean, listen, this is a course time and time again. We've talked about distance is always helpful, but it's not going to separate you here. And a guy like Brendan Todd, who peppers greens, peppers fairways, clearly has shown that this is that type of tournament. This is where it starts to get like, I feel really good about what we've talked about so far. Feel really good about the 9s. I feel like, up top is whatever. You've got Brian Harman. Detry's playing out of his mind. Like, he's playing great golf. KH Lee, now we're going to get into trouble. I'm going to get sucked into Noren again. How many times has this ended badly? Russell Henley, if you look at models, he jumps off the page. Killer Keith, Hadwin, Putnam, and Kuchar. A lot of names in the 8K range.
Yeah, this is the range where, like you said, is just like this is either going to win you the event or just like sink your week. Like,
correct.
You mentioned Henley. I mean, it's just, we're talking, you want a simple course, one where Russ can just focus on just hitting every iron and every fairway. This is it. Like, I mean, hard to think of a better setup. And then Noren, the guy's finished runner up in like 2 of his last 7 events. It's kind of under the radar, but I mean, if his putter gets going on this course, I mean, simple course for him. We know he's been eating up easier courses. So I'm with you on those 2 guys, but got to be careful. I mean, don't go overboard. I don't know if single entry lineups is there. The easy answer is just play Detry. Like, honestly, like you said, I mean, just keep rolling with it. It's a good young player. A lot of confidence, easier setup still. I don't think he'll be too intimidated by a few bigger names here. We've seen players come from Bermuda before, take on this course. They're pretty similar, just in terms of like, easier resort style setups. That's probably the move, is just play Detry. Maybe even KH Lee, who's looked really good late. But I will, like you, I mean, I will take some shots with Noren and Henley because long-term form, good setup. I expect one of them, probably one of them will pop and one of them won't. And I have no idea which one it'll be, but there's a good chance one of them just bombs out too, because that's kind of where they're at.
But this is where I'm saying, like, this, and you already illustrated this. Like, if you're trying to win large field tournaments, and this is something, again, the tools can really help you with. It's not just about picking the 6 most logical, safe guys. Like, yes, you want to get guys you think are going to make the cuts. You want to get guys that grade out well. You also want to take some players that you're just like, if this goes wrong, this guy's going to be 7 over after 8. But if it goes right, he could win the tournament. And to me, Noren and Henley are those type of players, and you want some of that. So I'm going to embrace that. I have trouble, and it's not all about this. It's how you're playing right now. But like how good, where do you think gut feel Detry falls, like in terms of how good he really is?
Yeah, it's kind of a tough question right now. I mean, like, he's gone through pretty good spurts before, but this is the first time he's doing it on the PGA. I still have questions because it's the fall swing, and
yes.
And like, we haven't even really seen a tough course necessarily. So I don't know. I mean, like, you could make the argument that He should be up there with Grillo and Power this week. Absolutely. But at the same time, you've got guys like Henley behind him, Keith Mitchell, who's like a winner. I mean, I think there's still an argument where, long-term, like he would be like an 8K range player in this field, like with the Munozes, and he's just going through a real hot stretch right now. So I don't really know. I think he's good enough to kind of, like he's not necessarily overpriced this week, but he's not necessarily like a huge value either. Just a player I'm interested. I mean, I didn't think he'd come out this hot. I'm not shocked. I wasn't shocked when he put up like a top 5, but the fact he's kept doing it has definitely gotten interesting. So it hurts too. Like it's the fall swing. We don't have as much data as on some of these events either. So that always stinks, but just knowing what kind of player he is, I think that what you'll see from him long-term is these type of events, he'll be pretty solid for the most part. And he can certainly like hang in a birdie fest. He's proven that. So I'm just, again, like coming back to the ownership stuff. I mean, Henley all of a sudden projecting like with sub 5 ownership almost. And then, Detry still not like, that's the one thing that again, in his favor, where he's not projecting as like uber chalk. Like people aren't necessarily piling into Thomas Detry yet. So I think that's good. And probably a reason why you should still just keep using him.
There's definitely still room there. I do think that, he's obviously with a couple different finishes, he's $1,000 cheaper and no one's saying what an obvious misprice, but I get it. I want to ask what we're going to talk about Munoz and Rogers and Burmeister and those guys in a second. You mentioned Brendan Todd. To me, the guys right at the bottom here fit that same profile, particularly Andrew Putnam, who can't drive it at all, but his putter is, it's like on another planet right now. Do you chase that? And then you've got Kuchar also at flat 8 to round out the range. Yeah.
Kuchar, I'll probably just forget he exists this week. Just not sure how much more upside is there with him. I know it's kind of the veteran course, but I would definitely lean Putnam.
That guy.
I don't like to roster these guys, but this course, this kind of setup, it's pretty, I think you're kind of almost doing yourself a disservice to kind of just ignore them at this point. So Putnam is a guy I would stay on here. Hadwin's interesting right above him, but I think that what we've seen from these two players, like Hadwin seems to just kind of be grinding his way through the fall. And I'm not necessarily confident that this is just the week that he pops up. Maybe we'll take a look at him next week in Houston if he has a good week here, but I think this could be the spot for Putnam to potentially really get it going again. I know he's obviously second just a couple weeks ago, but just this easier kind of course where, he just doesn't get stressed off the tee. He just puts it in play and then lets the rest of his game do the work. I think he's a fairly safe play at 8,100. I feel pretty confident saying that. I'd be pretty surprised if this was the week where he just crashed. It's just too good a setup for a player with that much confidence right now. He's not a must play either. I mean, there's better players underneath him, obviously, but I'm trying my best not to bump my head into a brick wall here against players who are obviously playing with confidence and now just at a cake setup for them. So
it definitely is. He's sitting, I see upwards of 50 to 1 or better for a guy like Putnam in the outright markets. And I will say real quick, we're going to talk about the 7K range, but it's a perfect time to talk about some of the offers. I already talked about Prize Picks, who sponsors this show, but if you're in a betting state, if you like to bet golf or you just like money, BetMGM still has their no-brainer. And what that means is the link is in the description. We'll put it in there. We'll do all those good things. If you sign up and deposit at BetMGM, you're in a legal betting state. You take $10, you bet an NBA money line. Once a team makes a 3-pointer, they give you $200 in free bets. You can use it anywhere. You can use it to bet golfers. You can use it to bet the NFL. You can use it to bet more basketball if you want. I know a ton of you who watch us on the Odd Shop or YouTube have already done this and got your money and hopefully run it up. Or if not, then you saved yourself a lot of money by losing the free money rather than your actual bankroll. If not, though, there's still time to do that. All BetMGM users, Tyler just put it there. Beautiful. Appreciate it. $200 off that $10 NBA money line once a team hits a 3-pointer. It doesn't even matter if your bet wins. Someone's hitting a 3. That's how it works. Simple as that. So you can use that. Maybe you bet Andrew Putnam. Maybe you bet Patrick Rogers like a real sicko. I might do that. Munoz, Nick Hardy. I got questions about Nick Hardy for you. Dean Burmeister and your boy Davis Riley. These are the 7K, top end names. Who were you drawn to?
Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, Patrick Rogers, he's done this to me before. It comes off a big week. He looks good. The field looks good. And then it's just, 72, 71. And oh man, I don't know. I still just don't even know. I'm probably just going to put some money on Patrick Rogers and then, try and go elsewhere. I think that people are obviously trying to get in on him a little bit now this week after, a consistent fall. So probably my best suggestion is get some money on him in the outright market. The number's still good. And then for DFS, I mean, like we have Munoz projecting is really strong. The chat just brought up Dean Burmeister, who I think, he's just a very good birdie maker. And much like Detry, I think these easy courses really, really help these Euro guys. Not that every course over in Europe is easy, but they're more expansive. They're a little bit easier off the tee. And a big hitter like Burmeister, he's not going to get, if he can just contain it a little bit, he should be fine off the tee here. He'll club down, and then he'll just be able to go to town with with his putter. So I think he's interesting as well. We got our guy Justin Lower at 7,600, who's just
his putter is like better than Putnam somehow.
Yeah, I don't even know I mean, it just every week. So much like Putnam, I mean, the courses haven't changed here. So I think that there's a very good argument. You just keep playing all these players, Lower, Putnam, Burmeister, who's been Detry, all these guys, and you'll probably be fine. I think that there's actually a kind of good argument where if you had 3 lineups, maybe you're taking like a real hard, like course history. You're going like Grillo, Henley, a couple other, like the American players like that. And then you make another lineup where you're going Detry. These players are just the flower, like the Lower, whatever his name is. These players in the fall who've just been lighting it up, and you could kind of get a couple of unique builds that way. So there's definitely like a couple groupings of players here who, do you trust just these dudes who are just lighting it up in the fall, or do you go for kind of the veterans, the course history guys who maybe haven't shown us as much?
It's definitely correlation with some of those names, even like right next to Justin Lower, different type of player. Robbie Shelton is playing pretty good golf right now. I don't know what to exactly make of that. I'll be honest. He's kind of, his off the tee game is weak, but you're going to be able to survive off the tee if your game is weak because of distance. If you gain fairways and you're a short hitter, you're fine. If you spray it all over the place, you have no chance here because, again, you're going to be in the jungle. I think Nick Hardy is an interesting name. He's good off the tee. He's playing good golf. He's made every cut in the swing season. He was 23rd at Bermuda. He was 5th at Sanderson Farms. Electric with the irons. His short game is pretty weak. I don't know if he can score that much, but I do kind of like his game and the setup for this course.
Yeah, I've kind of been off Hardy for parts of it, but he's, his putter definitely can be weak, but he also has gotten hot with that club before. So the approach game is there. I like the fact he was, he played last week. He finished well. I don't mind that call at all. I don't know. Has he played here before? No, he hasn't. So that's not a big deal though. I mean, this is an easy setup. So yeah, Hardy is one of those guys in this range too, who I think with all these other players playing well, he's just someone that people may forget about. He's between Munoz and Davis Riley, 2 names people know now. Rogers is up there, even guys like Burmeister and Lower and Shelton. So I think this is a good time to get on Nick Hardy. I mean, these are like these players when everyone's piling in on them. I kind of just tried to ignore them because they're probably a little overrated, but Hardy's played well. And this feels like a week where, maybe the field is just cools off on him a little bit because of all the names around him.
In the mid-range, you've got Aiden Buckley, who's shown a lot. He's like actually automatic off the tee. You've got Adam Long, who loves this course. You've got Lee Hodges, who's a guy I don't know a lot about, but we have to start taking notice of his game, particularly tee to green has been fantastic. 7th at the CJ Cup. Molinari is not on live. Didn't know that. Like I said, that's news to me. He's still around. JJ Spawn, I think, makes sense. Do you go like course history with Long? Do you go form with Hodges and Buckley? Do you pass on the entire range? What do you do here?
Yeah, I do like this for Lee Hodges. Just a really, really good iron player. I mean, that is the strength of his game. He's not going to get much like he's kind of like a mini Hovland. Just turns out he plays. He's not going to gain you a lot of strokes around the green. If anything, he's going to lose you strokes around the green. But his putter can come and go. And when the putter gets hot, like very consistent off the tee, really good iron player. I really like him in this range. Probably going to look into him for some kind of betting, probably a placing bet, maybe a good top 20 play. I like this one for him for sure. Adam Long, again, like absolutely fine to play Adam Long. I mean, you can play him just like you can probably play Matt Kuchar. You're leaning on course history more, a player who's got spike potential, but you know, he's not a recent form play. He hasn't been terrible or anything. He's made a few cuts, but that's just kind of what Adam Long does. He's just grinds along, and then all of a sudden he finishes runner up somewhere, and that's where he gets all his money. Could come this week, but I'm okay leaving him out too. I'd rather go to Hodges. I did have Mark Hubbard circled here. I know he missed the cut last week, but like still trending really well with his approaches. I don't really see a reason why this wouldn't be a good spot for him. He doesn't have the greatest course history. Potentially just a player, potentially just off a miscut, maybe needed a week to reset. Maybe he needs more than a week to reset, but he almost won a few events back and he's 7,400. I don't think anyone's going to play him now. So that's just something of interest. And then Justin Rose down here.
Yeah. Justin Rose
just sitting here at 7,300. Really interesting, to be honest. It's like he's projecting with like zero ownership too, by the way. Like I don't know if that's correct but our projections have him for not much ownership. So
not shocked. I mean, he's just been out of sight, and certainly they're gonna, continuously update till Thursday. So it looks like I'm not opposed to.
I kind of feel like you have to play Justin Rose here at this.
Oh God.
I mean, I know, but
Jay and Justin Rose, what a time to be alive. Yeah. So let me ask you this. First of all, I think Mark Hubbard's totally fine. It does look like he really doesn't like the surface.
Yeah.
His past palm splits are terrible, and that's probably why he struggles. But whatever, that's a little noisy. My biggest knock on Justin Rose is I like Chris Kirk. I think Chris Kirk sets up fine here. Yeah. What does he do that's a problem? He can keep it in play. He can lean on his approach. Yeah, he hasn't been playing the best golf in the world, but he's Chris Kirk. He's got experience. He knows what he's doing. He did get some reps. He played CJ Cup. We saw him, he's been in this plays course basically every year. Not the best course history, but he's found the weekend 5 straight events at Mayakoba. I think Chris Kirk sets up really nice at that price.
Don't have to talk me into Chris Kirk, and his price is now down. I mean, he was at like 7,800 every week, and now he's cheaper. He's still, like you said, been making cuts. Yeah. There you go. Now I don't have to play Justin Rose. I can play Chris Kirk.
Justin Rose, I think, is a better tournament play if you're looking for who's more likely to win. Justin Rose, maybe he found it. I have no idea what he's been doing. You've got Grayson Sigg and Chris Kirk. To me, they probably are more likely to hit a top 20 and pay off their salary without doing anything crazy. Sung Young Kim, I think I'm passing. Justin Sue, I think I'm passing. Russell Knox, God, that's a tough one. I can't get him right. Anything else in the 7s before we get a little dangerous?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be okay going to Justin Sue here. Easier course, definitely. Still a player with just a ton of potential. May even look to him for a bet or something. I think I kind of like Rose. Like, I'm not exactly sure what he's doing. Obviously, he's played more than Rose, but he could just pop up. So I don't mind it. I'm just going to pretend Russell Knox doesn't exist at this point, so I don't have to talk about him.
It rarely burns you if you take that mentality.
Yeah, I know. It's true. So it's fine. I mean, if you want to play Russell Knox, he'll probably finish T29 or something, but I don't know if he's going to be able to win you any events at this point. That's why I'd rather play Sue. I think he could actually win you an event, or a tournament. I just don't think the ball striking's quite there for Benny Ann. Smotherman's interesting.
He flashed for about 10 minutes and I'm like, oh, and then he can't sustain it.
No, he can't. But like, he's very consistent. He's only 7K. And obviously, like putting in a 62 last week on a similar course, I think it'll be good vibes for this week. So I wouldn't be shocked if he put in got in the mix here. I think he's very much in play. I just don't see it like Ryan. I don't even know what Ryan Palmer's been up to. Oh, he's in the 69 anyway. So that's the end of the 7Ks with Smotherman.
Yeah, Smotherman, listen, I totally get it. It's definitely a little disappointing though, because the biggest knock for me on him is that, he shows flashes, but he rarely hangs in. And last week it was like, wow, okay, he still came in 23rd. Like that,
Yeah.
you got to be a little better than that with the talent he's got it and the start he had. I agree, Benny on I think is fine, but I'm not super drawn to it. It may be a YOLO bet. Will Gordon is making cuts. Now he has made the cut in every swing season event. He was 35th. He's really aggressive off the tee. He gains a ton of strokes there. He's one of the guys. The only reason I really have interest is because I think there's a chance that Will Gordon might be really good. I also think there's a chance that he's overpriced. So maybe a tournament flyer. I don't know what else to say about him. His short game is really bad.
Yeah. And I kind of feel the same way about Will Gordon. I really don't know.
He's a mystery.
He flashed at times on his first time around the PGA, and I think people thought he was going to be pretty good. And then he just cratered, but now he's back and he's kind of looking like the same player. But the other thing about Will Gordon, I don't know if this is like a good setup for him. Like you said, he's strong off the tee. I'm not sure either. Like the around the green shouldn't hurt him this week, but like, does he have the irons to really just go nuts here? I think if he plays well here, his putter will carry him, which could happen. So I think at 7K, he's playable for sure. You kind of throw him in that Justin Sue range, where, like the upside is really good. Like a T4 is definitely possible, but I'd probably rather just play Justin Sue. It's an interesting one. I would rather play him, and I think it's good you brought him up because I would rather play him than anyone else at 7K. Smotherman, I think probably is slightly safer play for like a 25th, but I think Will Gordon's upside is just better at this point. I think I feel pretty safe saying that.
We see it every week. Like you don't know who it's going to be, but we see some of these guys who have limited, starts on tour. Someone Ben Griffin flashed, and this guy and Will Gordon, he's got that mentality. And I do think it's there. Don't think this is the best course for that. Now we're about to get to the 6K range. I do want to say real quick, everyone that's watching this again, the true ride or dies of Stokastic PGA. And we appreciate that. You want to support the stream, easiest way is hit the like button. I'm sure you're all subscribed. If you're not, hit that button. And then, of course, you want to come inside the ropes. Little 50% off your first month of Stokastic Plus Platinum. There's a link right in the description of this video. You just click it. The promo code is PGA Strategy Show, all one word. So if you are thinking about coming in, why not save some money? You get all those tools that Alex and the entire team have built, all the things we reference on the show. We get it from our tools, and it really makes a difference in swing season. And again, that's just for PGA. You get all like NHL tools. I know you mentioned the shots on goal. I've been tailing some of those. That's actually a real fun sweat. NBA, of course. Shots on goals. Wow, I love hockey. People don't know that. I love hockey. Such a good sport. Very underrated. We got the hockey show, I actually think, coming up. And yeah, we do. Really jam-packed day at Stokastic. So take advantage of all that. I got to ask you about some dudes. What is that? I can't even. So we've got Chun An Yu, who's playing really good golf. He came in third at Bermuda last week.
Just call him Kevin.
Kevin, yeah. Kevin. So that's the same guy. Yeah, exactly. The little Home Alone 5 reboot. My man is here. I don't know. This is my problem. When we don't have strokes gain data and they're new players, it's hard to know if this is a good course for him because I really don't know what his game is all about, but he is playing good golf.
He's definitely an elite birdie maker. I mean, that's the one thing that, again, just can rack them up in a hurry here. And I will say this, like, I agree. Like, it sucks we don't have the strokes gain, but it's really tended to be, you play well at Bermuda, you kind of can come in here and ride that momentum. So I think it's completely fine to stay on him. I know a lot of people had him circled, the smart PGA DFS crowd, the sharps, all liked him coming out of the Corn Ferry. And it does make sense. I mean, like I said, he made a lot of birdies there. He had some high finishes. And at 6,900, like, his price hasn't moved. So I think this is a player you stay on. I think that you'll probably see. I think there could be more potential there too. I don't just think that this is like I think there's a difference between you and Griffin. If I had to guess right now, I think you is the player who you're going to see pop up and like be consistent and potentially like really push to be a decent player. Whereas Griffin, that's probably his peak, where he's popping up at the Bermuda once a year. We don't see him for 4 or 5 weeks, missing cuts, and then he maybe pops up again at some point. But I think Kevin Yu has some serious potential with him. I would stay on him here. Yeah, I won't be shocked if he strings this into a nice run and all of a sudden becomes kind of like the hot play for 2023.
Certainly this week, I don't think it's even close. I also think it's unquantifiable, but Ben Griffin, like, actually, like, that was a potential career changer, and it went really bad really fast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad it happened for your sake, but yeah, it was.
Me too.
It was rough to watch.
It was like they both came in third. You couldn't have different mentalities. Like, one guy I'm sure is thrilled, and the other guy I'm sure is quite disappointed. In between them, you've got the Troy Merritts, the CT Pans of the world, guys that I think it's probably a decent spot, but it's few and far between when they really string it together. I found Ches is another guy. If he could do anything right now, I would play him here because I think it's like the perfect course. But he never could putt, and now he's sinking that with awful tee to green. So, like, for me, I don't know if I can do it. Are you brave enough to click Ches, or are there other guys in the mid sixes that you would prefer to play?
I mean, Ches is going to get it together at some point, but it just feels like it'll probably be the West Coast, which is where he always pops up. He'll finish T4 at Pebble. You can pencil him in for that. Lipsky's interesting. I think it's a good setup for him. Good iron player when he's in. He's made a couple cuts in a row now. I don't hate that play. It's definitely not a must play, but might look into him a little bit more again. Wish we had a little bit more data as what's going on, but a couple cuts. We've seen him when he gets going. He's a pretty confident player. He's, again, one of those players in the Euro Tour. He's won over there. He's certainly mixed it up with like the big names there, and get him on an easier course. He'll do things. So I don't have anyone else that I'm super interested here. Adri Arnas is.
Yeah, he's here, which is really strange. I don't know. I mean, his price, I will say, for a Euro, I didn't think there's that big of a difference. This is going to be a weird comparison to make, but like him, Burmeister, and Detry, there have been times on the Euro Tour where like they're all together, and I didn't think it was crazy. And now he's in the mid sixes, and they're almost 9,000. That's
kind of why I brought up Lipsky too, but I didn't know Arnas is here. Now I'm kind of interested. I mean, if we're standing for Detry, I mean, this is a player who, again, like, is there much difference between these two? I don't really know. I mean, Detry's probably been way more consistent, but as you can just see by going through Arnas's card, I mean, like the top finishes can be there. You got him on I think that's worth a look potentially. Like, if I'm going in this range, I don't have a problem. I mean, there's no one else. We talked about Pan. I mean, you can play Kevin Yu, but like nobody else here is really jumping off anything to me. I know my notes for this range was just like, everyone is just dull. Like, this is just like boring. There's no one here that really jumps out. But now that I see Arnas, it's like, oh, okay, a little interested. So why not?
Danny Lee, for some reason, plays great here. I don't think that means much of anything. I think it's just mostly random.
I think he likes the putting surfaces. I think that's part of it. He's played over in Asia a lot, similar putting surface. That's the only thing I can say as to why Danny Lee always pops up at this event and finishes like T4 every year.
Question about Marty Dew. He's another player. I definitely have my eye on him. Certainly he's got some talent. He's someone else, though. He's doing it off the tee. He's a really big bomber he's an aggressive driver.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like Mayakoba like exactly what I want. Now, his price is so low, I think you can get away with it for sure. But I think you're going to see his talent at other setups more than you see this week.
Agree completely. I'd rather just play you again there.
Yeah, Ben Martin, Brent Grant, your boy.
Okay, so he's down here. Okay, we got to figure out who this guy is.
I'm serious. He was in first, and I was just like, okay, I didn't see his name once, and I looked at that field for a long time, and now you got Harrison Endicott.
Yeah, that's another player who was up there for a bit.
Yeah, he came in 10th.
Yeah.
All these guys, you're going to see that.
I don't have a problem playing some of these guys either, because again, like, it's hard to get a more similar course to what we got last week than El Camaleon, than the Port Royal connection. I mean, they're pretty similar. They're resort courses, softer, tropical climate. Like, we see it a lot. So, I mean, if you want to throw Grant in or Endicott just on that alone, like, I think it's fine. I have one name down here, but like it's pretty much just one name. Like I'm not going to stand here for a bunch of different players. Oh, you're going to guess?
Is it Kazire?
No, it's not Kazire. It's a Kazire-like player name though.
Oh God. Is it what, Austin Cook?
No, it's not Cook.
Okay, I've given up. Who is it?
It's Ryan Moore.
Okay, well that's yeah, you weren't lying. Gain strokes without being long off the tee. That's Ryan Moore in a nutshell.
Yeah. Look, 2 top 30s in his last 4 starts. But Ben, tell me where Ryan Moore has made his most money. Do you remember? You got to go way back in time. I forgot how long ago this happened, but Ryan Moore won the same event 2 years in a row. Do you remember which one it was?
Shriners?
No, it was he has won the Shriners, but he won the CIMB Classic out in Malaysia 2 years in a row.
I was going to say, you know what's amazing? Like, he's only, how many wins does he have? 5?
Yeah, he's got 5.
Yeah, and it's like, I get one of them and it's not that one. I honestly don't remember that.
Yeah, no, it was, you know what? It was so long ago that I'm like, yeah, like it came back to me, but it was just, I didn't really remember it either. And then I looked it up, but he's got good course history here. I do think he likes his green type. He has gained strokes on approach in 5 straight starts. Now, it's not like he's not striping it, but it's positive. His putter was positive last time. I actually really like him for like a top 40 bet here too, because you cannot think of really a more ideal setup. I mean, even just looking last year, he came to the John Deere with like no form. And I'm talking like a top 50 and like 3 missed cuts. And he finished second because he can kind of get in a groove on these courses. So I actually think he's playable. Like I said, I'm going to look to him for a top 40. I saw like plus 300 for him for that. And he has made 2 of his last 4 cuts. It's not like we're coming in with like completely dead here. He made the cut last time as well. I think he's playable.
Again, I think you need a reason to go down here, but I will just ask, he's playing awful. But Pat Kazire, I mean, I know long-term he's won this event. There is some comps to Sony. He's also won Sony. Like,
yeah.
He gets crazy hot with the putter. I don't think he's in form, and that is such a huge problem.
Yeah, he is just like a north-south player. Like when he is bad, there's nothing about his game that's good. Like his putter doesn't even save him. And sometimes he'll get a little bit of confidence with his putter, and that'll get him going for a bit, and then the rest of his game comes in. But I mean, the only thing you can say is like he started out nicely at the Shriners with like, a couple under par rounds and then just cratered on the weekend. So maybe there's some continuation going. I look again, if Ryan Moore is the best player I'm shooting out in this range, then like, yes, you can certainly take a shot with Kazire because there's just nobody else really. I mean, I think when you're looking down here, there's 2 routes you go. You go to a veteran like Kazire or Moore, who's got the good track records on these kind of events, these kind of courses, or you look to someone who played well last week who Ben and I don't even know, like an Endicott or a Brent Grant, because again, I'm telling you, like you see a lot of continuation on these leaderboards. I think those are the 2 ways to go. There's no like play that I can say, this is the dude this week. It's just kind of how do you want to build? What do you want to lean on? The course history, the long-term, or the really recent form?
I do want to give a quick, as my final thought here to this. I'm not saying it's the end all be all, but like the Sony winners and the OHL winners, you're gonna like Kuchar comes to mind, obviously. Yeah. And the year that Matt Kuchar won, I just pulled it up. Andrew Putnam was second. And like, I do think there is something to taking a peek at what's happened at Sony and who else has had success at both.
It's a really good advertisement for Chris Kirk, who's finished like second at Sony a couple times. I actually really like that call. I'd kind of forgotten about him, but I'm probably going to get some top 10 or some each ways on him now.
Like these short, not punishing, you can keep it in the fairway. Like Chris Kirk, and you mentioned at Wiley, like he's done that there. I think it translates pretty well. I really do.
Yep.
Now, well, there we have it. Gonna be, you know what? It's a free roll. We had some good. You had Kitayama 2 weeks ago. I had Seamus. We're feeling good on this show. And again, thanks for everyone for sticking with us. We've got the NHL strategy show set to begin with Josh Harris and Cliffy taking you. There's like 50 games in the NHL tonight. And of course, NBA deeper dive live before lock coming at you all on the Stokastic Network. If you're looking for bets, head to Odd Shop or YouTube. We've got you covered there. But friends, Thanks again. Thanks to Tyler behind the glass and hanging with him all morning. We've done shows on shows on shows. We're going to bounce on out of here. If you have any questions, hit us up in Discord. Hit us up on Twitter at The Fantasy Grind, at JazzRazDFS. Good luck, friends. Enjoy Mayakoba as always. And we will find out what the event is next week. Me and Jeff don't know.
It's in Houston.
Whatever it is.
I know that.
What is it?
It's in Houston. I don't know what
it's in Houston. It's the Shell Houston Open. Maybe, maybe not. Find out next week, 1:00. We'll be here. Hope you guys are as well. Good luck, and we'll see you then. Can't remember anything these days. It's all crazy.